Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, welcome to our spiritual fireside chat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. I'm going to start with the recitation of the Quran, inshallah, from Surah Al-Zumar, chapter 39, and the verses 53 through 59, inshallah. And then after the recitation, I am going to introduce our guest, inshallah, for tonight. Let me put the verses on the screen and we'll start. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب ثم لا تنصرون واتبعوا أحسن ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم من قبل أن يأتيكم العذاب بغتة وأنتم لا تشعرون أن تقول نفس يا حسرة على ما فرطت في جنب الله وإن كنت لمن الساخرين أو تقول لو أن الله هداني لكنت من المتقين أو تقول حين ترى العذاب لو أن لي كرة فأكون من المحسنين بلى قد جاءتك آياتي فكذبت بها واستكبرت وكنت من الكافرين. صدق الله العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. إن الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. Dear brothers and sisters, peace be upon all of you. Welcome to our program. Tonight, inshallah, I have another special guest, and he is going to talk about a really timely topic, and his theme is managing uncertainty that challenges our spirit. And our beloved brother, the president of MPAC, Salam Al-Marayati, is with us. And he is on now and will continue, inshallah, with his speech. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Salam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, good to see you always.
Beautiful recitation as always. Really touched
Thank
me. Thank you so much.
Alhamdulillah. And the screen is yours, inshallah. I'm gonna take this off, so if you like to share anything, you may do so, please. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, I think it's, you know, as I was listening to the verses recited by Asim, I myself was thinking about how God is telling us to never lose sight of his mercy. And I think that was the main message from the recitation. Am I still with you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, it froze on my side. So I was thinking about the situation where individually God is telling us never to lose sight of his mercy, and he is the most forgiving, and always seek to change our ways and ask for forgiveness, and don't wait until it's too late. And I think the same thing applies for us as a group, that there's always hope. Even though we see so much anti-Muslim animus, we see xenophobia, we see nationalism, we see racism, and you could easily say it's hopeless, that the situation is so bad that really there's no end in sight and no light at the end of the tunnel. And so I looked at various verses in the Quran, and I tried to get some orientation as to how the Quran is telling us what to do in these situations. And indeed, there are so many situations that the Quran actually gives us that kind of encouragement, if you will. And at the end of the day, the Quran is telling us if we have sincerity and if we have conviction, that will get us through. And in time, we will see the fruits of our labor. But the fruits of our labor is not necessarily witnessed within our lifetime. I think that's a very important point for us to understand. We will not see the fruits of our own labor. We in the Quran, all the prophets' stories, every prophet had done his work but the fruit of the Prophet's labor was not manifested until after their life. For example, when you see the situation of Musa alayhi salam, he brought his people from bondage, from slavery, and liberated them and brought them out of the hands of from the hands of Pharaoh. And then they are traveling, and they're basically told to stay in the desert, and that's the end of that story. And you see the story of Isa alayhi salam, who was persecuted, and he was basically giving a message to a few people, and then that was the end of his story. And Ibrahim alayhi salam basically built the Kaaba with two people with him, his wife and his son Ismail alayhi salam. And so you see in each story there is a sudden end of that story. But now when you look at what Musa alayhi salam had done and what happened for his people later on, they found obviously they found the reward for their patience and perseverance. For Isa alayhi salam and his disciples, the religion grew to be over 1 billion people, or 2 billion people. For the case of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the Kaaba and the Hajj are witnessed and experienced by over 2 million people every year. So in each case, you don't look to the reward right away. You look to planting the seed, and the more you plant the seed with conviction and sincerity, the more likelihood it will benefit people, and it will benefit Islam and serve the interest of Islam, and you will be rewarded for it. So what are some of these verses then that point to this situation? If we look at the screen, one of the verses that is in Surah Yusuf, and here is Yaqub, the father of Joseph and his brothers, and this is when Yaqub is telling his sons to go look for Joseph, even though Joseph has been gone, has basically disappeared for quite some time. And Jacob says, "Do not lose hope of God's life-giving mercy. Verily, none but people who deny the truth can ever lose hope of God's life-giving mercy." So Yaqub never lost hope, and he's saying only those who deny the truth, the kafir, those who deny God's truth, are the ones that lose hope. The Muslim will never lose hope of any situation. Then we go to a verse later in the surah, and this is a concluding verse, a summary, if you will, of the story that also tells us about the other stories. And it says, all the earlier apostles had to suffer persecution for a long time. But at last, when those apostles had lost all hope and saw themselves branded as liars, our succor attained to them, whereupon everyone whom we willed to be saved was saved, and the deniers of truth were destroyed, for never can our punishment be averted from people who are lost in sin. And so this is talking about the apostles themselves. All the prophets had that sense of losing hope, asking, when is God's help going to come? And the message is, it will come. God will save those the believers from the deniers of the truth, and the deniers of the truth will suffer the punishment. And it takes us to this other verse that is very often quoted, when even the Prophet and his companions, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, and his companions were wondering, where is the help of God? Misfortune and hardship befell them, and so shaken were they that the apostle and the believers with him would exclaim, when will God's succor come? Oh, verily, God's succor is always near. So when you see that the prophets themselves had gone to the brink of hopelessness, I think it should give us some sense of confidence, some sense of relief that we are human, like the prophets were human themselves, and we will have those feelings of hopelessness. But if we continue our work and continue with conviction and sincerity, then God's help is always near, and we don't realize how close it is. Sometimes when you climb a mountain, the toughest part of the climb is the last couple of 100 feet. You think that you'll never make it, but if you just get through those last few 100 feet, you will achieve salvation. The next verse that I wanted to show was in Surah Al-Hud, and it's about the Prophet Salih. And I want to focus on the last 2 lines of this important ayah, this important verse. As he is debating with his people, he's saying, "Oh, my people, basically, I'm trying to do something good for you." And at the end, he says, "I desire no more than to set things to rights insofar as it lies within my power. But the achievement of my aim depends on God alone. In him have I placed my trust, and unto him do I always turn." In other words, what Prophet Salih is saying to his people, his job is to set things right, to remove the inequities, to bring justice, to bring human decency and dignity in and around him. But he can only do that insofar as what is within his own power. And the Arabic is ma astata'tu wa ma tawfiqi. And so whatever is within my power, that is what I'm able to do, I will do. So whatever we can do, it is not going to be the whole piece of the work, the whole set of work that we need to do as a group throughout time. But what we can do at this time, whatever little it is, we must do. And then we leave the rest to God, because we know that in time God will build these, from this good work, and he will change the situation for all of humanity. In him have I placed my trust, and unto him do I always turn. Then the last set of verses are verses that I like to reflect upon whenever I'm down, and I feel like, as the other verses we're talking about, when they keep accusing you of being liars, when there's so much anti-Muslim animus that they accuse Muslims of trying to invade and trying to take over, and use the stereotypes against us, you feel down. And so I look to these verses for a sense of hope. And it's in Surah An-Nahl, the last 3 verses of this beautiful surah. And it says, وَإِنْ عَاقَبْتُمْ فَأَعْقِبُوا بِمِثْلِ مَا عُوقِبْتُمْ بِهِ وَلَئِنْ صَبَرْتُمْ لَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. Hence, if you have to respond to an attack, an argument, respond only to the extent of the attack leveled against you, but to bear yourselves with patience is indeed far better for you, since God is with those who are patient in adversity. And don't we feel all the time when somebody attacks Islam that we want to attack their religion, or we want to attack them? And the Quran is saying, yeah, you have the right to do that, but if you are patient and maintain your dignity and maintain your work, it is far better for you, and know that this is what God wills. And then the surah continues, وَاصْبِرْ وَمَا صَبْرُكَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ وَلَا تَحْزَنْ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا تَقُ فِي ضَيْقٍ مِّمَّا يَمْكُرُونَ. Endure then with patience all they who deny the truth may say, always remembering that this is none but God who gives you the strength to endure adversity, and do not grieve over them, and neither be distressed by the false arguments with which they devise. And this is a very powerful verse because, of course, we get depressed when we see so much distortions of Islam out there, and we see so much xenophobia and racism, and we see racial injustice throughout society. And so we get down, and the Quran is telling us, always remember that God will give you the strength to endure adversity. If you connect to God, that will be the way that you will endure, you will persevere, and you will be the victorious one at the end. And how are you the victorious one? You start by having that victory within your heart. Once you have that victory in your heart, nothing can stop you. Then you leave the rest to God. You do what you can do in this life, and the fruits of your labor, like all the prophets, will be cherished and felt after your lifetime. And then the surah ends with this wonderful verse: Inna Allaha ma'alladina taqaw Inna Allaha ma'alladina taqaw walladina hum muhsinun. For verily God is with those who are conscious of him and are the doers of good withal. And if you feel that God is with you, then it doesn't matter if 5.9 billion other people are against you. It's enough for you to have God on your side. And this is what will give us the strength. It says God is with those who are conscious of him, and they are those who do the good work in this life. So I just wanted to share some of those verses with you. I hope it was a benefit to you, and happy to share those with you in this time. But it gives me hope, and as long as we have that sincerity and conviction and continue to do the work, we are on the right path.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Salam. It was really timely. We are going through difficult times. We always need time and time with hopeful messages. Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm looking if there's any question. I don't see any so far. So, inshallah, we are going to continue our program with the Adhan and Salat al-Isha. And then we hope to see you soon again. Inshallah.
Yeah, and one last thing to everybody: the most important thing to bring hope is to vote.
Oh, that's a good slogan.
There's a congressman, I don't know if you know of him, his name is Congressman John Lewis. He just died. He was around 80, but he was the man who did the nonviolent protests in Alabama back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And they would do sit-ins, and they were abused. And by the way, when we look at what happens to people like that, we're dealing with nothing in comparison. But in any case, he said that the most precious and powerful aspect of nonviolence is the vote. It is sacred, so value that sacred right of voting. And in time, if we get everybody to vote, then the majority will prevail, and truth and justice will prevail. So please remember to always take that right to vote seriously. Other countries don't have that right to vote, and here in this country, we tend to take it for granted. So please vote, and it's not just about the presidency, it's about the district attorney race in this county is very important, and in time, the race for the mayor is also going to be important. That's when our vote's going to count the most.
Great, thank you so much. We got the message, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.
No problem, thank you always. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you. Now, brothers and sisters, I'm going to call the adhan and we'll pray Salat al-Isha, inshallah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. الله الرحمن الرحيم. سمع الله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة. قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. حمدك الله والحمد. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. إن إبراهيم كان أمة قانتا لله حنيفا ولم يك من المشركين شاكرا لأنعمه اجتباه وهداه إلى صراط مستقيم
وآتيناه في الدنيا حسنة وإنه في الآخرة لمن الصالحين ثم أوحينا إليك أن اتبع ملة إبراهيم حنيفا وما كان من المشركين إنما جعل السبت على الذين اختلفوا فيه وإن ربك ليحكم بينهم يوم القيامة فيما كانوا فيه يختلفون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله وهو أعلم بالمهتدين وإن عاقبتم فعاقبوا بمثل ما عوقبتم به ولئن صبرتم لهو خير للصابرين واصبر وما صبرك إلا بالله ولا تحزن عليهم ولا تك في ضيق مما يمكرون إن الله مع الذين اتقوا والذين هم محسنون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. تحيات لله والصلاة. السلام عليكم. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. الله أكبر.
سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. تحيات لله. اللهم صل على سيدنا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر الله. استغفر الله. استغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو. اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام. تبارك يا ذا الجلال والإكرام. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم أعنا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. صدق الله العظيم. سبحان الله. سبحان الله. سبحان الله. سبحان الله. سبحان الله. الحمد لله. الحمد لله. الحمد لله. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير. اللهم لك الحمد كله. O Allah, yours is the praise. اللهم ابسط علينا من بركاتك ورحمتك وفضلك ورزقك. O Allah, bestow on us from your blessings, mercy, grace and provisions. اللهم إننا نسألك النعيم المقيم الذي لا يحول ولا يزول. O Allah, we ask you for the eternal blessings that never ends or fades away. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان وجعلنا من الراشدين. O Allah, make faith dear to us and beautify it in our hearts and make disbelief, sin and disobedience dislike to us and make us among the rightly guided. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. O Allah, we ask you for guidance, taqwa, virtue and sufficiency. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا. O Allah, give healing for those who are sick and please bless the souls of those who passed away. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. وصل اللهم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. صدق الله العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our prayers and our du'as, dear brothers and sisters. Thank you again joining us in this beautiful night. And I would like to say wa alaikum assalam for those who posted, Sister Erica, Sister Iman, and Brother Felipe, and all of you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll continue on Thursday, inshallah, at same time, 8:30 p.m. with our weeknight spiritual reset. And join us, please, and have a great night. Thank you, and see you, inshallah, on Thursday. Rest well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.